Hey, what's going on, guys? My name's Chris. I'm with JP here. He's my co-host for Success Agents. And today we want to talk about a few things about what I see a lot and what JP talks about, which is trying to start another business or another venture while also maintaining your current business and keeping that profitable so you can keep everything afloat and really managing the chaos. So I'm just going to have JP kind of start us off here. JP, how often are you talking to agents and they have like different ideas or yourself, just like starting new businesses? Is that like a chronic thing that happens a lot?
So one of the things that happens as an entrepreneur, you are constantly using the tools and the experiences that you have in your current business, and they can easily be applied to other things.
Right.
So one of the things that my wife and I are looking at doing is doing a business that coincides with keto and the keto lifestyle and the ketogenic diet. And so we're trying to use the skills and abilities that we've learned across, all these different things we've learned, and how to apply those into multiple streams of income. And this just happens to be in the food business.
Hmm.
And what you have to do is the biggest thing with business in general is one is try not to do too many things.
Right.
Um, the other thing is that in order to add other businesses that coincide with what you're already doing, is you have to have the one business has to be successful, because if it's not, then what will happen is that you will try to fill your time up with this other business while the primary business starts to fail. And so you really have to get systems in place. And you hear the word scaling a lot, and that's really what it comes down to, is you got to get it to where it's on autopilot, which is a lot of what we talk about in this podcast, is that the businesses that you want to get one business that's on autopilot so that you have that frees you up to put focus in on this other business. But if you're doing that at the expense of your primary business, then you're going to fail every time.
Right. It's forgotten so quickly that like cash is king and you need capital. If you're gonna like start any business venture, you should have something to back it up. And that's just going to expedite the results anyway, right? Because now you're more efficient with your time because you have your first one on lockdown and you get it and it's going to stay profitable and, trying to run by itself like an autopilot. And then you bring on something else. And it's
Right.
usually, from what I've seen, it usually is completely unrelated to real estate, I guess, because, we all have different interests and you want to pursue different things. And, what comes out of that is a pretty cool business idea. But if you don't have like the backing to it and you kind of set yourself up for failure, well, you're really just going down like a rabbit hole. And that's just, it's just not going to be pretty.
Agreed. And it's you entrepreneurs have ADHD, I believe. And I feel like it's one of those things where you get to a point where you have limited success, and so you decide, oh yeah, well, now that I've done this, I can use those same skills and abilities and jump into starting an online store, or
Mhm.
doing ClickFunnels, or Shopify or whatever, and I can sell knickknacks. Well the key really comes down to this: you want to start businesses that are complementary to your primary business.
Mhm.
Just because you want to, start a whoopee cushion store doesn't mean you should. Doesn't just because you have a pretty face doesn't mean you should have a modeling career on the side of doing real estate, for instance.
uh,
You know, just because you have a passion for clothes because you put clothes on every morning doesn't mean you should start a clothing line. So you have to get in the vein of, okay, if I'm in real estate, right? So what other businesses would go well with real estate? Okay, title. Maybe you wanted to start a construction company,
mhm.
or you wanted to partner with a house cleaning business. So let's say you had a house cleaning business on the side. If you wanted to go into insurance, businesses that kind of you're in the same ecosystem. So they all kind of talk to each other, just like if you were going to, just like if Mac's got you got the iPhone, you've got, MacBook Air, you've got iPad, you've got all these things, they all talk to each other. So you got to think about it in the same, instance with your business is that, if you're in the automotive industry and you want to sell wheels, custom wheels or, um, ground effects kits, modifications, if you want a turbo stuff, that kind of stuff. So that keeps you in the same ecosystem because what'll happen is people will start businesses that they know nothing about. And that's a problem. Just because you know how to run, a business that is your primary business doesn't necessarily mean that you know how to run, a vending machine company or, a restaurant, these different types of things, which take totally different skills, different abilities. Now, that doesn't say that you can't partner with someone that knows what they're doing, but to just go start a business, just doesn't get it done. If Dave or Gordon Ramsay decided to start a plane company, like that would be just ludicrous.
They have good food, though.
You'd have good food. I guarantee you that, the in-flight meal is going to be top notch, but your plane tickets are going to be, double or triple the prices. So, there's a cost for flying, I guess, with good food. But that's why, like, a lot of times you see, professional athletes will try to go into something that they just know nothing about. And it's just because, like, if LeBron James decided to start his own burger joint, I don't think that would, the LB burger or something. I don't know.
Honestly, how many burgers does that guy really eat to, maintain that physique, right?
Right. Exactly. I mean, I guess there has been some, rich people that have made successful transitions into things that they're not related to. Planet Hollywood is a conglomerate of a few superstars, that have started their own, food joints or whatever. But at the end of the day, like, you still have to have good food. Otherwise, people aren't going to eat there because you're never going to meet Arnold Schwarzenegger sitting there in the booth having a beer, and he slides over some chili fries. You can have these chili fries, it's not going to happen. Like, no one's going to, that might happen. Okay, don't get me wrong. I think I talked to somebody one time and they saw Stallone at Planet Hollywood one time. But chances are you're not going to run into somebody, to just have crappy food at the chance to meet a movie star. So stay in your zone, like in the psychology field, consulting, counseling, business development, book writing, one-on-one coaching, support groups, all of those kinds of things are in that ecosystem.
Yeah.
But if she went from, or like my wife's in that space, and if she went from, doing that to automotive, like they just don't work together. That would be a really tough gel to make. Even though, sometimes they say follow the money, but if the money doesn't make sense, then don't do it, Like I'm in sales, real estate translates over to sales, which translates over into car sales or any kind of sales, or marketing, which could translate into, online marketing, stuff like that. But at the end of the day, it just does not fit within the overall ecosystem. So.
Yeah, I agree. I find it really interesting. Like as I keep, pushing this system and like creating more, people always have these like interesting little tidbits that they'd like to add that I didn't really even think about before. Like the Facebook pixel is this elusive eye in the sky that people don't really understand. And like, the whole back end of Facebook, there's like a bunch of settings. People just don't really get that, but it's still in my ecosystem. It's in like setting up automations and data tracking and increasing efficiencies. So yeah, I totally agree with you there. Um, I've actually, you kind of talked about Shopify. I've always been interested in starting a Shopify store, but it's always like, well, what the hell am I going to sell? You know? And it's like the idea is so nice because it's like, oh, that's passive money. You know, all I have to do is put up a website, throw some SEO value at it, and maybe a few Facebook ads, and money will start coming into my Stripe account. And the reality is, it's just not how it is. And it's just like this entirely different thing that you have to learn. And to learn it by yourself is a complete waste of time. Like I did a post today actually on my personal page about DIYers and like a little bit of history on me. My dad's always been a DIYer. He loves to do everything himself, doesn't like to hire out. Ironically enough, he was a contractor, so you know he would get hired out to go do it, but he would never hire anyone else out. And ultimately, what happened is we got this big ass house that needed a ton of work, but no one to help us do it except for the kids and dad. And it's
Right.
like, dude, living in the house honestly just kind of sucked. Like it was a great house, but you know, every summer we're mulching. I'm cutting the grass at least twice a week, and it was an acre at the time. And it was just like, this is kind of pointless. You know, why strive for this high level of success in your own head, but then not have the means to make it worth it?
Right. It's like the Millionaire Next Door. I think there's a book called that where the guy like
Great book.
lives like a hermit
Yeah,
and makes millions of dollars and has millions of dollars just stashed away in the bank. And it's like, why? Like at
right,
the end of the day, you work towards whatever freedom means to you without having it at the expense of others.
right.
And that translates into the expense of others translates into if your family has to suffer as a result of your ability to be successful. So you're not home. Yeah, you're making decent money, but at the end of the day, you're always tired. And it sucks, and life sucks. But you have good money. You're making good money, and a lot of people in the oil fields have that experience where they're grinding away, doing 150 hours a week, and they're not their work life is terrible. It sucks. And, they just don't want to, they want to work because the money's good and it's just good enough to continue to do it. But then it's at the expense of your family and they never get to see you. They don't get to spend quality time and all that kind of stuff. And so you got to decide what's more, what's important because at the end of the day, when it's all said and done, you can't take it with you, you
Mm.
know. And there's a great book, and I think it's called "What Are the Regrets of the Dying," and it's about these. I think they go into a journey of about five people, five very wealthy individuals, and they're in hospice, and the
Yeah,
nurse asks these questions: "What are your regrets?" And almost all of them say, if you're doing all this hard work, you're making all this money, and you get to the end of your life, and the only thing you got to show for it is a few dollar bills in the bank, but you've been divorced 6 times, your kids, you don't talk to your kids anymore, you can't spend time with your family, and you didn't create this momentous time in your life where you're able to go on that trip, spend the time with your kids, be silly, run around, pretend to be, a dragon slayer in the backyard with your children, and all these things that are much more fulfilling long term than just grinding it out.
right.
And
Yeah,
so it's one of those things where you've got to get to a point where the success breeds more other people underneath you to be successful as well, so that they can have what you have, and it frees up more time in your life so that you're able to continue to have a life of freedom.
yeah, yeah. It's kind of interesting. People get so involved with things because they have this idea of freedom that they're going to achieve. Never happens. Well, most of the time it doesn't happen, at least because it's just not thought out. and they just don't have leverage, where you need to create that leverage before you're going to go and, convolute everything. Make sure you have leverage to make your life honestly just easier. Because the whole goal, at least in my opinion, I mean, everyone's different, but like you have the people who are like the hardcore hustlers, at least they call themselves that, and they like don't spend any time, or at least it appears, to just like hang out and enjoy a beer at a brewery. And I feel like that is just such a waste. I mean, everyone wants different things, of course, but like, man, I mean, life is about love, laughter, family, and relationships. And if you
Yeah.
don't have that, man, if you just have you have fat stacks in your bank account, but no one to spend it with, maybe you have a nice car or like 7 or 10, but like, what good is that?
Right. And I think also too is when you can get to a point where you can also show others how to have the same success that you've had.
Yeah. Well, it's
And
like,
I think that's the true meaning of life is really having success and showing others how to have success as well, having the success that you've had.
yeah, it's like it's kind of like, it's weird. Like you start to get successful and then success seems to breed success. Like people just start getting attracted to you because
Right.
for whatever reason, I mean, it's just the way the universe works. And I don't even know where I was going with that, but it's like, it's important because it's important to understand that if you just keep doing what you're good at and you just keep doing what you enjoy, that success is going to keep compounding. And then you can just have unlimited opportunities for people who are reaching out to you saying, hey, I'm really into clothing and I see you wear some pretty awesome clothing. Do you want to partner up? And, and then off you go. You now have a clothing store that someone else partnered up with you. So yeah, just
Yeah,
like,
I think it just comes down to, risk.
yeah,
Who do you want to partner up with, and are you willing to take some risks to get there? Because you get to a point in your career where you just kind of get comfortable, everything's just okay, and the risks are minimal, and you don't want to move on to the next level. But
mm,
at the end of the day, it comes down to you have to take risks in order to achieve any level of success, with
yeah,
the exception of corporate ladder. You just buy your time, and eventually there's nobody else left, so you're the only one left, so then they move you up to the next level because nobody else wanted it. And then it just the same thing. It's like I'm in my position because nobody else wanted it, and they either died, quit, or got fired. So that's really what it comes down to is, okay, well, I guess you were the next natural choice, so all right, come on up, let's go. Pay a few more dollars to take on a few more headaches.
right.
But the headaches are so different when they're your headaches, not like risky headaches, those kinds of headaches, rather than personnel headaches and stuff like that. So I think it's really rewarding and stressful at the same time.
They're the kind of headaches that haunt you well into the night.
Yes.
There's been a lot of nights, man, where I'm at that whiteboard trying to solve a problem that I'm not going to be able to solve right then and there. But I'm going to be sitting there trying to find a solution that doesn't exist at that point in time. And that's just, I mean, that just comes with it, And that,
Mm-hmm.
imagine, so then it's like talking about you have headaches, your real estate business that's not successful yet. Then you try to bring on another headache, and it's like, dude, you gotta,
Right now, I'm trying to build a team, in a town where they do everything very, very traditional, old school real estate style.
yeah,
And you've got to be able to convince the people that there is a better way to do it,
right.
and that there's a more leveraged way of doing real estate
Mm-hmm.
than the traditional, here's your keys, here's your office, there's a sea of people out there, go find them, go get them,
Right. Right.
good luck, you know and so it's like and so I'm trying to figure out how to basically better give my people an opportunity to not have this issue in real estate that happens where it's well, you'll do well in 3 to 5 years, once you get your business established, you'll do well. Well, there's already people. It's basically, it's not so much, you know it's going to take you 3 to 5 years to build a business. there's a huge sea out there of people. What's the best bait to catch them?
Yeah.
And so that's what it comes down to is, if I've got a bigger net than you, I'm going to win, and I can do it faster and more efficient than you are because you had a tiny little net. And that's why it took you so long to get those people, because you took so long to fish through the waves. And it's like, you got to have the right bait and you got to have the biggest net, and that's how you win. That's what it comes down to.
Hmm.
And then if you're like, shark hunters or whatever, you can just chum the water and they'll just start flowing towards you.
But you got to get to a certain level before you can start fishing for the sharks, right?
This is true. You got to start with the minnows. You work yourself up to the trouts, and then you get the sailfish and then the sharks and then whales, and then you're good to go, man. And then you just go after the dinosaurs.
Yeah. Well, good luck with that, man.
I know, right? It's tough to go after something that's 30 million years old. So
Yeah. I think ostriches are the closest relative to dinosaurs anymore.
isn't it? I thought it was crocodiles.
I thought it was a bird.
Maybe it was a bird.
I don't know.
I guess they all started off as birds, from what I'm told.
True.
So. Well, that's it, man. That's all we got.
Cool, man. Well, it was short. Hey, guys, thanks for joining us. Again, just for another round of Success Agents. If you want to get a hold of JP, he does a little bit of real estate coaching. Why don't you explain it, JP? Why don't you?
Sure. Yeah. If you guys want to get a hold of me, you can reach out to me on Facebook, Instagram. Jay Fluellen on Instagram. I am JP's real estate page on Facebook. Or you can just send me an email at james.fluellen@gmail.com. Or you can PM me, text me, 307-772-1184. I may not be doing that for very long if I get much traction on this podcast. But for now, I'm giving out my phone number. And if you want to, I can send you an email. You can sign up on a 30-minute coaching call with me for free. And that's it.
All right, cool. Yeah, guys, again, my name is Chris. If you want to get a hold of me, my email has changed finally. So it's chris@agentsautomated, hell of a lot easier than InSync. You can private message me. I usually share these on my personal profile anyway. Or just reach out through successagents.com our Facebook page. And we'll see you guys next week.
All right. See ya.
All right. See you later, JP.
Later.